Speaking of Grays, there is a lot to talk about. What is in store that first episode back? How would you kind of describe it?
It's pure madness. I gotta say, we have found a way to have really highly concentrated, dense episodes towards the middle of this season, with a lot of this incredible combination of loss and joy and progress in these characters' lives. But when you come back, yeah, it's gonna be fairly terrifying and exhilarating. There's a lot of personal journeys, and there's a lot at stake. Losing your kind of grip on what's real and what's stable in life, and dealing with the pandemic on the show, I think has been really cathartic for viewers to feel like yes, there's value in imagining elsewhere, but there's also value in like understanding, a show like this is news for some people. And I don't mean that that everything is a fact, but it is a way to get a human side to statistics, to stories, and just nameless, faceless stories. These are actual people that have loved ones that were born, that have a sister and a mom and a brother, and they're struggling with it. They're not just a stat or a demographic. So that's important.
That's a really good point that you bring up. And playing a first responder and knowing what is actually happening, do you feel an added pressure to tell these types of stories correctly and to give people a glimpse into what is happening in our hospitals?
Yeah, I do. I think a lot of us do. We make sure to feel like, are we doing our best to represent both the reality and a potential future? I take it fairly seriously, and we really examine the material and try to make sure that we're representing not just as many existences in this country, but examining them with care and thought.
Meredith!
Derek. We do know there's more McDreamy to come. How would you describe what's next from him on the beach? Will he stay on the beach?
I honestly, truly don't know. I'm not in those scenes, and they really did a good job of keeping the beach stuff away from us, I think for fear of it leaking, but I know that America loves it, and I know that they'd be smart to get as much in there as possible. And, I worked with Patrick for years, and that is one of the most charming people I've ever met. So I get it. I get it. So we'd be lucky to have him as much as possible.
Is there anyone that you would love to see make a surprise return, like Sandra Oh, possibly?
She's such a beast. She's such an incredible actor. Yeah, Eric Dane, I had a lot of fun working with. Capshaw. I mean, we had such great cast. Yeah. I really enjoyed all of them, and would love to get a chance to work with them again. All these people we're talking about are both incredibly funny and incredibly powerful as dramatic actors, and they can switch in and out of that in a way that is pretty unmatched.
Is Ellen Pompeo going to be okay on the show? Is there hope for Meredith? We know she's entering this COVID trial, and I'm a little nervous.
I'm a little nervous too. No, there's hope. There's got to be hope. I mean, as far as I can see, there's hope, and she's a really hilarious broad, I call her, because she's one of the last of the broads that we have. I think I think there's hope. I think in a lot of ways, we've all got a lot invested in this, and she kind of represents both the sheer the terror and the very real and reasonable fear we have of what's kind of been washing over this country, but also our fight, our stick-to-itiveness, our preparedness, and it really does put in perspective, live your life now, form your relationships now, and people remember how you made them feel. I don't think there's anybody in TV history that's made people feel as much as Meredith Grey.
That's so accurate, actually. Yeah. People really do. They love her. She has suggested that this could be the final season, though. Where do you stand?
I don't think so. I think it. Look, I don't know, but think the show is too important to go out without a damn parade, without us really knowing and having a real finale season where these writers are so overworked and pressed and in a rat race to try to get material out with all this uncertainty. That's not the ideal scenario. I think they and all of us kind of deserve to have the time and space to map out how to end, and maybe all of that is just a flowery way of saying I really hope not.
Yeah. Is there a part of Jackson's, I guess, life that we haven't learned about on the show that you would love to explore or tell?
Yeah, I think I'd love to learn more about we tapped it in I guess it was Japril the movie, to his father, like this, what it is to live without having, your dad bail on you, or regardless of the circumstances, not without that level of parenting in your life and what it does to you. And I think kind of completing the loop, it did feel like it met some resolution, but these are things, the role I learned, the more therapy you're in, the more you learn how much your parents impact you. Yep. And there's a lot to unpack there in terms of how it has impacted his sense of identity and motivation and self-esteem. So I think there could be something really, and it was really great to work with Eric Roberts, a hell of a person and an actor. I'd love to see him and my mom. I'd love to do a little more of that, because there's personal stuff. As actors, you want to get on the inside and work from the inside out. And a lot of times, our material reveals something that lies inside, but it's also really fun for us all to get into the heart of the matter.
Yeah, but the storylines still excite you, obviously. I mean, you've been on the show forever, and
yeah,
I feel like Jackson gets pretty good storylines.
Yeah, I do. I got no complaints. I'm living a hell of a life right now.
Just thinking about what's to come for the rest of the season, what are you most excited for fans to see in terms of what's in store for Jackson and the show kind of as a whole?
I'm most excited for fans to see us be really brought to the brink by what's happening in our world, really have empathy for the folks around us that it's impacting in much harsher ways than it might be for us. I would love for it to be a cohesive experience that brings us together, brings us a level of understanding for our brothers and sisters around us, and also showing us being able to pull the hell out of this thing stronger and make us really think about what is it we want to be doing with our lives. It ain't promised. What is it you want? How do you want your days to go?
Yeah.
And start there.
I love that. Is there a more shocking scene coming up than Patrick Dempsey's return? Camilla? Yeah. Oh, there is. Okay.
I would think so.
Wow.
I can think. It's all relative for who you're invested in, but yeah, I'd say so.
I think it's Sandra Oh. Fingers crossed.